now we move on to the infantry. Now the infantry are definitely not something that I haven't, I don't use these as much as other players, and definitely haven't used all of them, so I couldn't tell you all their plus and points, but I'll give you a general overview. So we've got the Vupuzi Czechoslovakian Special Forces. These are quite a good unit. I've used them a bit. They've got a very accurate rifle, and they have a lot of ammunition, so they can keep going for a while. Same again, their RPG 75 is a pretty nasty RPG. It's probably one of the best that PACT forces carry. 6 rockets, it can do a lot of damage with that, and it's got some grenades as well for helping out with their infantry fighting. And as with all infantry, they're incredibly slow. But these are recon infantry, so they got good optics. So these are actually an interesting artillery spotter unit, as they can be equipped with transport helicopters. You can fly them in and then let them spot units behind the enemy lines that they'd rather you not spot, and then paint them for artillery. These would be a good Czechoslovakian combo between these and the Dana artillery. Just a little recommendation. And for this, you've got the sort of standard Czechoslovakian equipment of the Soviet transport helicopters, which you can upgrade with rocket pods, ATKMs, or really powerful rocket pods, or the OT-64 Scott armored personnel carriers. These are pretty fast. As you can see, they're only 5 points if you want to buy them on their own, but they do 95, so this is comparable to the NATO VAV, and they have an excellent range. And then you can spend a bit more by giving them a machine gun, a little cannon, an AGKM, but while they retain their speed. So these can be pretty well armoured transports, but they're very fast, but very weak. Good, remember that. Then again on the infantry, we have got the East German FKB 40 Special Forces. These guys are cheaper than the Vupuzus, but they don't have an anti-tank weapon. They have a basic AA missile, the Strela 2. This then isn't that powerful, so even against weak NATO helicopters, it can be a bit tricky to knock them down. But it's a good sort of warning system for defense. Again, they've got a fairly good assault rifle, and their grenades are comparable as well. They use the East German transport helicopters, so they're sort of limited in what they have. So they've got the basic variant, they've got the rocket pod variant, and the AGKM variant. They don't have the heavy rocket pod variant, such as the Vupuzi do. But on the plus side, you can unlock them with an Mi-24 gunship helicopter, which has got the rocket pods, the ATKMs, and a machine gun, with more armor than the other helicopters have. And then you can upgrade them to give them a Gatling gun and a better ATKM, a bit more accurate. And you can give them the East German basic transport, the SPÖ 60P, which is basically a BTR, basic cannon, stuff like that. So, don't think there's anything going for it over the Scott, except for the fact it gets the cannon as standard. Then continuing with the East German infantry, you've got the dedicated Strela 2 infantry. These would be costing less than the FKB Special Forces, which I've nearly forgot, have good optics, which means they can't spot stuff as well as the Vupuzi, but they're keepers, so what do you expect? So we got the Strela 2 infantry. These are the same as the FKB, only they don't have good optics. They've got normal optics. They have less ammunition and a less powerful grenade, but you can get the Strela 2 at a cheaper price. You can equip them with the basic East German BTR variant, the SPW, as you saw before, but you can also give them the East German BMP. This is quite an interesting unit. It's got more armor, and a bit more firepower, because it's got a better gun and the ATKM, which has got a lot of AP power, and then you can also give them a bit of an upgrade to get a bit more accurate, and yeah, so a bit more accurate, so it's a better fighting vehicle. Then you've got the Grenzer Recon Infantry. These would be similar to the FKB, only they don't have a AA missile, they have the RBG. They're quite cheap actually at 30, however they're only equipable with the basic SPW, or transport vehicle, and they don't have the same kind of, and their assault rifle isn't as good as the other sort of airborne recon infantry, but they do have the very good optics, so these would be a very good recon unit to sort of spread across, but they're 30 only. They're quite good for ambushes because they've got a nice RPG that they can use quite a bit, but they're the poor selection of vehicles that you can equip them in could be a disadvantage. Then you've got the Motstjusten, which is the basic infantry. These guys don't have any optics going for them, but they do have the RPG, the grenade, and the assault rifle, and they cost less than the Grenzer. They even actually have a better RPG, but it's more accurate. So these are sort of more combat unit. Their assault rifle, again, quite good, 9 accuracy, a good amount of ammo, so these would be a competent fighter. And you can equip them with the basic SPW, the BMP, and the BMP SP2. So yeah, these would be a sort of frontline infantry unit. Back to Czechoslovakia and their frontline infantry unit, the Motostrelki. These guys don't have a very good assault rifle. They've got a lot of ammunition, but it isn't as accurate as other units, so these guys will probably lose out to infantry fights with NATO unless they're fighting basic units. But they're only 10, and they do have the very nice RPG 75 with the 700 meter range, 8 accuracy, 11 AP, and 6 rockets. So these would be an excellent ambush unit because they only cost 5 with their basic armored personnel carrier, which is pretty fast at 95. So these are sort of good ambush unit that I'd recommend to try and maybe even charge it at the enemy as a sort of rush unit, because these things are pretty fast, and then once you're in range the enemy, drop these guys out. So these would be a sort of disposable unit, and as with their special forces, you can upgrade their personnel carriers to give it a bit of firepower while they're rushing in with a bit of a machine gun, cannon, or an ATKM. You can also equip them to the OT-62 Topaz. This is a slower version, but it's got the machine gun as standard, and you can upgrade it to a recoilless rifle, which is a sort of ATKM unit. And this version, which I don't actually see what's so good about it, but it's got a better cannon, but it still costs 15. I'd probably go for the recoilless rifle, which has got the machine gun and this, but that's just me. And you can also equip them with these guys actually got the Soviet fighting vehicles. So you got the BMP-1, the BMP-1 over 1970, the BMP-1P, and the BMP-1D. So you can equip them with grenade launchers, ATKMs, and a worse ATKM, but cost a bit less. So these would be a very good. So yeah, overall these would be a sort of ambush unit. You spread them across and you charge them into stuff. Then now their opposite number in the Soviet forces are the Motostrelki. There's a K in there instead of a C. I think that's the only difference in their name. These guys are slow, normal optics. They've still got the RPG of the Motostrelki, but the Motostrelki carry a better one. But the Soviet guys are more accurate. I think that's the only difference. So probably the Motostrelki are a better infantry unit than the Soviet ones, as they have more ammunition. So overall, these guys will be better infantry on infantry fighters, but these guys are better at ambushing and charging. The Soviet ones have the basic BTR, which is as you can see here, and then you can upgrade it at 5 points a pop to give it slightly better speed and range improvements. Just depends, so basically you spend more on this stuff and it goes faster. You don't get any firepower upgrade, but you get them into the battle faster. But if you want firepower, you can give them the BMP-1, and as you saw earlier, as you upgrade, you get a better ATKM, even better ATKM, and a grenade launcher. for the full anti-infantry concentration. Now, what sets these guys apart is they can also be upgraded to have the BMP-2, which is a better fighting vehicle because it's got a better ATKM and it's got an autocannon, which is a very good unit, a very good weapon. And you can also upgrade them to, let's see, what's the upgrade here? It doesn't actually look like there's that much of an upgrade. Let's see. Wargame's going a bit laggy here. I think Fraps might have cut out, so I'm just going to stop recording now, and I'll see you again in a second at the BM. Okay, I'm back. Fraps seemed to be doing something annoying there. I don't know what was going on, but we'll just try and ignore that ever happened. So, BMP2, you upgrade it. Let's see what you get for your money. For an extra 5 points, you get, oh yeah, there you go, slightly better armor. 2 front, 2 side, and then rear 1, top 1. Then you upgrade it a bit again, and you get a better ATKM and autocannon, but you go back to the only 1100, so the BMP-2D is the one you want if you want to keep your infantry safe. The BMP-2 Ober 1986 is the one you want to use to give them some firepower, and then you upgrade to the BMP-3, which is sort of like the best of both, plus a main gun and an autocannon, and a good ATKM, but it costs more. So that's what that's about. Now we got some. So the infantry are spread out, so I don't want to go flickering back and forth. So I'll just deal with them as I come to them. So these are the Palar Faggot ATKMs. Actually, no, sorry, Fago. That's something completely different. So this is the basic ATKM infantry from East Germany. So you've got the assault rifle. So they can fend for themselves against infantry, but they aren't going to be winning any fights on a one-to-one basis. Their ATKM's fairly good, as with most ATKMs. That's got a lot of power, and they've got 6 missiles, which is decent, but you'll probably want to keep them supplied. And they've got the basic East German transport option,